The Carolina Hurricanes are no longer viewed as a promising team trying to break through. At this stage of the season, they are firmly established as one of the Eastern Conference's most complete contenders, leading the Metropolitan Division with authority and consistency. That position, however, brings a different kind of pressure as the trade deadline approaches rapidly. Expectations inside and outside the organization have clearly shifted toward a championship or bust mentality. Carolina's success this season has not happened by accident. Rod Brind'Amour's system continues to produce one of the most balanced teams in the NHL, combining offensive efficiency with defensive discipline rarely seen across the league. Few teams manage to sustain pressure offensively while maintaining structural responsibility in their own zone. The Hurricanes have turned that balance into a defining identity. Statistically, the numbers reinforce that reputation. Carolina ranks among the league leaders in scoring while simultaneously limiting opponents' chances, a combination typically associated with deep playoff runs. Teams capable of finishing inside the top tier in both categories historically become legitimate Stanley Cup threats. Yet numbers alone rarely tell the full postseason story. Despite strong metrics, front offices often recognize weaknesses long before they become visible during playoff series. The Hurricanes' leadership group appears aware that small roster concerns can quickly evolve into decisive problems against elite competition. The margin between contenders and the playoffs is incredibly thin. One unstable position can undo months of dominance. That reality explains why Carolina is widely expected to be aggressive before the deadline. Rather than reacting to failure, the organization seems focused on preventing it altogether. The goal is not simply qualifying for the postseason, but entering it fully reinforced. For a team this close to contention, standing still may actually represent the biggest risk. Perhaps the most pressing concern surrounding the Hurricanes revolves around goaltending stability. While Brandon Bussi has delivered impressive performances throughout the 2025-26 season, relying heavily on emerging consistency during playoff hockey remains a calculated gamble. Postseason experience often becomes a decisive factor when games tighten. Carolina's management understands that reality well. Frederik Andersen, once expected to anchor the position, has struggled to maintain elite-level production this year. With free agency approaching in the summer, uncertainty now surrounds both his future and his reliability in high-pressure moments. Teams chasing championships rarely allow unanswered questions in goal. Carolina may be approaching that exact crossroads. Complicating matters further is the loss of Pyotr Kochetkov for the remainder of the season due to injury. Depth at the goaltending position often determines survival across long playoff series filled with physical and mental demands. Without reliable internal options, the Hurricanes could be forced to explore the trade market more seriously. Timing becomes critical as contenders begin competing for the same targets. One name increasingly connected to Carolina discussions is Jordan Binnington from the St. Louis Blues. The veteran carries postseason pedigree and a reputation for thriving under pressure, traits highly valued in playoff environments. While acquiring him would require careful asset management, the potential upside could immediately stabilize Carolina's biggest uncertainty. Ultimately, the Hurricanes must decide whether internal confidence outweighs external security. Championship-caliber teams frequently invest aggressively in goaltending insurance before the playoffs begin. If management believes the current situation introduces risk, a move in net could become the defining transaction of Carolina's season. While goaltending draws attention, league insiders increasingly suggest Carolina's true focus may lie at the center position. Playoff hockey often shifts toward physical puck control, face-off dominance, and defensive responsibility down the middle. Strength at center ice frequently separates contenders from champions during long postseason battles. Carolina appears aware of that strategic reality. Several forwards have been linked to the Hurricanes in recent weeks, signaling active exploration behind the scenes. Management seems interested in adding experience rather than simply depth scoring. A veteran presence capable of handling critical minutes could elevate Carolina's lineup flexibility significantly. The objective would be strengthening matchups against elite Eastern Conference opponents. Ryan O'Reilly has emerged as one of the most logical potential fits. The Nashville Predators veteran brings leadership, defensive awareness, and proven playoff effectiveness, qualities that align closely with Carolina's system. Analysts from multiple outlets have pointed to him as a realistic acquisition capable of impacting both ends of the ice immediately. Beyond statistics, O'Reilly represents something contenders actively pursue at this stage: composure under playoff pressure. Carolina already possesses speed and structure, but postseason success often demands situational intelligence during tight games. Adding a player comfortable in those moments could transform close series outcomes. Experience becomes currency in April and May. If Carolina ultimately prioritizes a center upgrade, the move would reflect long-term strategic thinking rather than reactionary decision-making. Strengthening the spine of the lineup often produces ripple effects across all forward lines. For a team already near the top of the standings, even a subtle upgrade could significantly raise its championship ceiling. As the trade deadline approaches, the Hurricanes find themselves in a rare organizational position. They are strong enough to contend without major changes, yet close enough to greatness that calculated reinforcements could redefine their postseason trajectory. This balance creates one of the most fascinating decision-making moments of the NHL season. Every move now carries amplified consequences. General Manager Eric Tulsky faces a strategic challenge shared by few teams. Overpaying for short-term help can damage long-term stability, but hesitation may allow rivals to close the competitive gap. The Eastern Conference remains deeply competitive, meaning incremental improvements elsewhere could quickly shift the playoff landscape. Timing and precision will be essential. Carolina's identity under Brian DeMore has always centered around discipline, structure, and collective effort. Any acquisition must complement that culture rather than disrupt it. Successful deadline additions are rarely about star power alone. Fit within the system often determines whether a move becomes transformative or forgettable. League observers increasingly view Carolina as a team unwilling to waste its current championship window. With strong roster foundations already in place, targeted upgrades could push the Hurricanes from contender status into true Stanley Cup favorite territory. The coming days may reveal how aggressively management believes in this roster's opportunity. In many ways, this deadline represents more than roster improvement. It is a statement about organizational ambition and belief. If the Hurricanes act decisively, they could enter the playoffs as one of the most dangerous teams in hockey. And in a season already filled with promise, the next move may ultimately define how far Carolina can go.